Hi guys, I'm Kim Cash, and I'm just here today to talk to you for a few minutes about May Day. Tomorrow is May Day, and May Day used to be a big celebration in ancient days when agriculture was so important. And the reason is that it's a celebration of spring. And when I was a kid, we used to make May baskets, and they were just out of paper. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And what we do is make a cone shape out of some paper. A lot of times we'd just use newspaper, comic strips if we had them, and then we'd roll them up into a cone and tape them, or I've got a few different things here to use. We've got the stapler, the glue, tape, and I think that actually the one that works the best quickly is the tape, because I've tried the other ones. But if you have some ribbon, I have some different kinds of ribbon just left over from sewing or from the holidays. You just punch a hole in the sides, and I'll show you how to do it, and just tie a little knot on the inside. And then what I would do as a kid is take some flowers from the garden. I've got some right here, and they're nothing fancy. They're just what's in my yard right now. And what I have out in the yard is some allium, which is this white flower, and I don't know if you guys can see that real good. I'll put some pictures. But allium is from the family of onions, garlics, leeks, shallots, and it's a beautiful blossom. There's purple ones and white ones. So I'll put some of those in here, and then I have some wild bluebells, which a lot of people think are weeds, but I think they're a really pretty flower. Let me see if I can show you that better. I'll come closer. And a lot of people pull them up, but I really like them. I think they're very pretty. They're little bluebells, and they are from the hyacinth family. Some people call them wild hyacinths, some people call them wood hyacinths, but I just think they're really pretty. And then I have some ferns in my yard, a lot of ferns, and just stick one of those in. And I have some bachelor buttons. These grow like crazy. These are really pretty too. Let me come closer. I'll show you these. Maybe you guys all know about bachelor buttons, but they're very delicate little blossoms. And they attract a lot of bees, and I like to bring bees to the yard. And I just put those in here. And if they start to slip down too much, you can put a wadded up cotton ball or a piece of paper just to keep your flowers up high. And then I have just a few roses right now. You know, I live in Portland, which is the city of roses. And then I will just take this and hang it on my neighbor's door. As a kid, I used to do this. Me and my brothers and sisters would make these May baskets, and then we'd take them and hang them on the neighbor's doorknob and knock and run. And then when they came to the door, they'd look around and they would see the flower basket. And who doesn't like to get flowers? And it's a nice way to celebrate the coming of spring. So there's one. And then this year I made some little boxes out of some beautiful paper that I have in this book. And I'll show you some more about it. But I have a couple of these books where you can just punch out the pages. And they've got really beautiful papers. And I taped that together, and then what I did is I just grabbed some, I keep around some different seed packets. Sorry, I didn't have those right here. And I just fold up a seed packet and stick it in a little box, and then I hang that on the door. Let me come closer so you can see that. Maybe you guys can see it, but from my distance I can't really see it so well. But it's a really beautiful little box. And then on the back I wrote Happy May Day on the little tag that I made on the front. And I'll just hang that on their doorknobs, and then they'll be surprised. And then they'll have something too to plant out in their yard, which I think will be fun. Anyway, the way that I do this is, if you don't have pretty paper or books like this, then you can also just use newspaper. You could look for pages from magazines and just wrap them up into a cone shape. And here's one that's just small. But just grab any piece of paper that you have and fold it into a square, and then just roll it up. I don't know if you guys can see me doing this. But you just roll it and make it the shape that you want your cone to be. It could be whatever. And it could be big or little depending on how many flowers you have. Or it could be seed packets, or you could do a little drawing of spring and stick it in there. It doesn't have to be flowers, but back in the ancient days when agriculture was so important, people would celebrate with festivals, and they'd have cakes and sweets and celebrate with the maypole, and they'd take ribbons and dance around the maypole and twine the ribbons around till it was really pretty. And then I just tape this down at the bottom, and then I'd take a, I don't know if you guys have a punch. If you don't have a punch, you could use your scissors and just punch a hole on the sides, and then just put your ribbon in. And I have different kinds of ribbon. You could use whatever. If you don't have ribbon, you could also make just a little handle out of paper. We used to do that too. And you just thread your ribbon through the hole and then just tie it. You could tie it down right there, or you could just take it all the way across to the other hole and thread it through. I mean, you can make them however you want, but this is just what we did as kids, and it was a fun thing to do. We enjoyed making the little May baskets, and our neighbors enjoyed getting them. They always thought it was fun to open the door and be surprised by some pretty wild flowers. We didn't have much money, so they weren't fancy flowers, but it doesn't matter. Garden flowers, things that grow in your yard, even things people think of as weeds, are sometimes very pretty. Like I said, these bluebells, a lot of people think of those as weeds, but I think they're beautiful. I love wild hyacinths. And they remind me of, you know, being a kid. They grew up in my yard all the time. They still grow in my yard, and I'm not pulling them up. I like them. I cut them and give them to neighbors. And so they're, you know, all you have to do, and you could trim it. But if you don't even have a newspaper, if you have white paper, you could color a pretty flower or a pretty picture, spring picture, and then you could put flowers in it or seeds of flowers, and then hang them on the door. And you could just hand it to your neighbors. We like the surprise for people. But you can see that, even that, just a newspaper is pretty. And who doesn't like that? And then I have this one book that is Scandinavian pages, and you could use the front or the back. The back side is actually light and pretty. I'll come over so you can see it better. The back pages are like this, and they look like, these are all Scandinavian designs. My husband's from Denmark. And then the other side is much darker. So it just depends on what you like, what kind of papers you like. You could use Christmas paper or wrapping paper, or just anything that you have. But it's a nice way to celebrate the coming of spring with your neighbors. And in some parts of the world, they celebrate Labor Day. Ours is in September in the U.S., but some places in the world celebrate Labor Day and solidarity of workers and things on May 1st. But I like to celebrate the coming of spring on May 1st, and I celebrate it with these May baskets. And I'll come closer so you can see these ones. And I just wanted to wish everybody a happy spring and happy May Day. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Happy May Day. Bye.